Hi everyone, this is Beto Paredes here in our media center. I'm speaking with a gentleman that is going to get you excited, especially if you're a franchise dealer and you're looking for a possible solution for something that's highly interesting. We've got someone special here today that comes from a company that develops and creates high-performance doors for franchise dealers. And for the rest of you listening that have been on the Media Center before, you know basically how this works is we bring in individuals, we talk a little bit about their business and what it is that they're doing. I have on here with me Joe Jones, Sales Director of the Retail Automotive Market, North America. He's got over 30 years of experience in sales application of high-performance doors, and he's got some information to share with us here today. So how are you today, Joe?
I'm fine, Beto. Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. Thought it was pretty incredible when we first talked that what you guys are doing is really kind of giving a difference or giving kind of an edge or an angle for these franchise dealers. And a lot of them, as you had even stated, haven't considered possibly looking into doors that may have a higher cost to them. There's a number of things that I want to talk to you about, but I think there's a big difference between a high-performance door, let's necessarily say, than something that may use currently at these franchise dealers. So I want to get into a little bit of this with you, but first of all, I want to ask you a little bit about the background of the company. They're obviously fairly large. You were telling me that they had 24 manufacturing plants around the world. Can you give me a little bit of information on the company?
Sure. Hormann's been around for quite a long time. They're based in Germany. They have manufacturing facilities all over the world. Actually, the United States was the last frontier for them. They came in, they bought a small company by the name of Flexon in the Pittsburgh area about 8 years ago now. And their idea was to start it with the high-performance type doors that they use in Europe, and also they've since then bought a manufacturer of sectional type doors that are used on dealerships and other commercial facilities on the West Coast, and another manufacturer that has built commercial type doors in the Chicago area.
Now, you were telling me also that they had just completed a new and expanded high-performance store plant in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as well?
That's correct, yes. We just finished their plant last year. It's a brand new plant from ground up right outside of Pittsburgh near the airport there, and we've already got another expansion that's going to double the size of that's taken off here in the second quarter of 2017. We take a lot of pride in the facility. It's probably the most state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in the world for high-performance doors. The Hormann company has invested quite a bit of money in this plant, and it's predominantly for building doors for the car industry.
Okay, that is great. I do know that image is important to dealerships, especially the franchise dealer that's trying to differentiate from their competition. Why are the overhead doors getting so much attention with image designs on new auto dealership facilities?
Well, if you think about it, Beto, the doors used to bring vehicles in and out of a facility, a retail auto dealership, they are the most active pieces of equipment on the building, and just coming to the surface for a lot of owners because of the cost of keeping those doors up. You know, whether it be, moving new vehicles in and out of the building or in and out of the service areas, the logistics of those doors and the reliability of that equipment is very, very important, that it's reliable and stays in good service. Up until about 2006, the door industry really didn't have a lot of high-performance types of doors and products to offer for those types of openings. The door industry now in the U.S. has a high-performance product, with the Hormann product being one of them, that enhance that process as well as complement the looks of the building.
Well, we understand that these new products can cost as much as 2 to 3 times as much as a traditional overhead doors. What is the justification for added cost?
Well, this is true. The doors are more expensive. However, when you look at most of the newer designs for dealerships, you see that there are fewer openings around the building. In other words, where we used to have openings all around the shop, where you could, every time you pulled into a bay, you were on top of the lift. The new dealerships are using more of a box-type design, where they put a door at each end of the building that services maybe 20 lifts. When you do that, these doors become what we call a workhorse doors. They're working up and down constantly all day, those service lifts. Now we're taking a lot of doors and squeezing it down to just 2 doors for the shop. But we're also asking those doors to work a heavier duty. In other words, they're going to have probably 5 times the cycles they would have. Cycles are what, tear doors up. We all know that, the more cycles you have on a door, the springs will break, and then there's a lot of service costs there and unreliability. The number of doors in a service shop down to 2 openings If one of those openings doesn't work, it's a big deal for the service manager. He has to have those doors working all the time. So the cost of those two doors being 2 to 3 times as much as a normal door isn't really that much when you look at the grand scheme of things of a whole dealership when they're putting in a new building there.
Well, it's almost like you guys have more of an evolved product that can actually handle the wear and tear that's actually happening at a dealership, as opposed to what they've been dealing with for this period of time. And I imagine one of those doors breaking in the middle of a day, whatever the cost is, has got to be a big pain in the butt for a busy dealership.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, I could see that not being any fun. So it's the quality level, and that makes a lot of sense. And I would say, even with my own experience, I do see those doors getting a lot of heavy traffic, a lot of work. It's not necessarily just the justification of the cost up front. It's that over time, you're going to have a better door. You're going to break down a lot less. And over time, based off of maintenance costs, you're going to save money. That's what I'm seeing.
Exactly. There's a whole lot of dimensions in the payback for these types of doors, one of them being the energy savings cost that you're going to get from your utility bills. Your soft cost would be, the inconveniences to your customers. Soft cost would be productivity. While people are waiting for slow doors that go up at 12 inches a second, these doors operate at 80 inches per second. So you can get the cars in and out of the shop faster, and those numbers really add up because the way we set these doors up now are fully automatic. It's just like you were walking in and out of the local grocery store. You walk to the door, in that case, but in this case, you would drive to the door opens fast, you go through, it automatically closes when you get through, and it keeps the building secure and closed at all times automatically. There's not a lot of human input to the system.
Well, and you're covering some features that need to be considered by a dealer when they're looking to buy a door or looking to replace the ones they have. So what would be important door features an owner should look for when shopping for new high-performance doors?
Sure. Yeah, I think there's about 7 things that the owner needs to consider when he's looking at these doors. He wants to make sure that the door is a high cycle rated door. Usually that means that there are very few springs on the door, and most of the work is done by the variable speed drives that we use. It's an industrial drive, and that's a lot of where the cost of these doors is now. The second thing would be the speed. You want the door to have a decent amount of speed, especially when you're coming in and out of your shop areas where the cars, they will slow down, but you don't want them to have to come to a complete stop to wait for the door. On the service lanes, where the service write-up lanes, that's not that important, but it is important on the shop doors to keep that the doors have a good speed to them. Insulated. You need the doors when they're down and closed during the off hours. You want the door to be as a wall. You want it to have as much insulating value as possible. Just a few years ago, a lot of the manufacturers mandated that the new stores have air-conditioned and heated shops. So you have a vested interest in making sure that those doors close all the time and they're insulated when they're down. The automation part of the door, this is where the beauty is of the whole system. Again, you want to make it so your employees don't have to think about opening overhead doors and closing them. The car pulls up to the door, it opens automatically, you go through, it's like pulling in and out of a parking garage with doors. You want to make it as automatic as possible, and usually when we leave the site after installing these doors, it's all set up to be as automated as possible. We also set up controls where you can turn off the motion sensors on the outside of the building at certain hours, not to let people into the building. Safety is a huge issue. Because the doors are automatic and because they're so fast, you need devices in the door opening so that if a pedestrian or a vehicle is encroaching on the opening, the door will not close on them, causing damage to the person or the vehicle or causing damage to the door. Our company uses what we call a light curtain system. It's a light curtain guard where it creates a wall across the opening 8 feet high. So anything that's encroaching on the opening is going to keep the door from coming down. The other things that I think you need to check off would be repairability. In other words, you want the doors to be able to be repaired within, several hours. If a car hit one of the doors or the door came down and it was broken, you don't want that door opening to be out of service for days. Your local service provider to be able to come into the new slats or parts on the door and get the door back in business. And that brings me to the final thing I usually talk about is local service. At Hormann, we make sure that we're dealing with a dealer that's either selling the project to your contractor or installing this on behalf of Hormann. We make sure they're no more than an hour away from your facility. So when you call, they're there in a matter of time. They have the parts available, and they get the door back in service to be able to lock up your building. Those are the top 7 things that I like to tell owners that they should look for in anybody's doors when they're shopping.
That is great. Okay, so I'm on your site. I'm on Hormann-Flexen.com, and I have found a door with Speed Guardian 4000 high-performance speed doors. This looks like it's one of the products that's pretty specific to automotive. Do you have anything you can tell me about this product?
Yes, the Speed Guardian is what we call a spiral design type product. It goes up and down, usually at an 80-inch speed. We have the lower end, lower cost doors that looks exactly the same that operates at 36 inches per second. What that means is when you hit the activation of the door, it activates and it's going to open at 80 inches per second. In other words, a 10-foot high door wouldn't take more than 2.5 seconds to open. Okay. A lot of people call these the Star Trek doors because they open and close so fast like those doors did. But that's what that door is. It comes in 2 versions. It can be a solid slatted material or it can be in a full vision where you've got glass. One thing unique to Hormann is that we offer a dual pane vision slat. In other words, there's like a thermopane type of window that you have in the slat where it's got 2 pieces of the glass material. And this creates closure between there, creating an insulated slat. The other competitors we have use just 1 slat of material, which really doesn't give it any R value. So we have a lot of insulated value there. The door goes up into the header in what they call a spiral design, so it never touches itself when it goes into the coil. And that's shown on on our video. Yeah, I've got slides that different dealerships, different brands. Like we do a lot of work for Audi, a lot of Toyota work.
So tell me, on the website, I went to applications. That's how I found the Speed Guardian. I know that was at least one way to get some information about one of the doors. And I want to know a little bit more about how to get in touch with you, Joe. What's the best way to get in touch with you so that we might be able to get the process started to get one of these doors at our dealership?
The best way to get a hold to me would be by phone or by email. My phone number is 412-720-8414. And my email address is j.jones@Hormann, HORMANN -Flexon, FLEXON.com.
Thank you so much, Joe. And Joe is coming to our September show. September is going to be a big month for us. Joe, I want to absolutely thank you for spending some time with us, and everyone that's on this call. You'll get a chance to come meet Joe in September. If there's anything that you need from Joe, I would highly suggest getting a hold of him. I think that if you're looking to replace the doors that you have there at your dealership, or looking to at least get some more information on what the high-performance door difference would be for your dealership, I would definitely reach out to Joe and get in touch with him right away. So, Joe, thank you so much for spending some time with us here, and I hope you have a good rest of your evening.
Thanks a lot, Beto. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you all there.
Okay, awesome.